Hello and welcome back to the Simplifiers podcast, where we take topics in business and in life and simplify it. Now, my friends, today I am so excited to bring on my special guest, and because she is going to simplify a buzzword that I keep hearing over and over and over again in my circle of friends and colleagues and other business owners around the world. And let's be real, I am tired of hearing about it. No, I'm not tired of hearing about it. I just want somebody to break it down in simple terms so we actually know how to execute this in our own business. My guest today is Michelle Evans, and she's the host of the Marketing Funnel Show. She walked away from her global marketing strategy role at Microsoft in 2012 after a successful 16-year corporate career spanning in many industries. Now you ask why? Well, Michelle now helps coaches and experts go from simply surviving to predictably selling out using automation power of marketing funnels. I'd like to welcome to the Simplifiers podcast today, Michelle Evans. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Mary, and thanks for having me.
Oh, Michelle, I'm so excited you're here. I mean, I feel like people talk about marketing funnels and you hear it, and then a lot of my girlfriends go, yeah, I don't know what that means. Can you just break it down in simple terms? What is a marketing funnel first and foremost, and why do I need one for my business?
Yeah. And, I'm not surprised that people are really confused because I got to be honest, Mary, if you Google marketing funnels, you're going to find some pretty incredible eye charts that make it seem like it's really complicated. And, I come from Microsoft, the land of complex, right? And we love complicated things. But I'm going to be honest with you. Marketing funnels can be broken down into 3 really simple steps. And if you think about it for yourself, you're gonna be able to understand this in a really, really simple way. So step number 1 is warm them up.
Okay.
So you just have to warm up people. They need to know who you are. You can't sell something to somebody who has no idea who you are, has never heard of you, and has no idea about your value, right? So you have to warm people up. You need to invest, you need to give first. So that's step 1. Step number 2 is you need to invite them in. You need to invite them to come a little closer and learn a little bit more, right? Step number 3 is you need to give them a clear path to work with you. That is all that a marketing funnel is.
And it's literally moving a person from an absolute stranger to eventually purchasing something, a product or service that you offer. So regardless if you are a graphic designer, a bookkeeper, a wedding planner, whatever, the principles you're talking about today applies, right?
Exactly.
Great.
And if people try to make it more complicated than that, they're just trying to overcomplicate human nature. You really just need to go out and find the people who need what you have, show them that you have what they need, and let them see the value that you could give them, and then show them how to work with you. That is really all there is to it.
Well, before we dive into the specifics, like practical details of mapping this out, I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. So you walked away from this epic job at Microsoft. What gives, Michelle?
Oh, Mary.
Do we have enough time?
Yeah. So after my 3rd child, I just was I had always felt the call of entrepreneurship. I'm not going to lie, but I had a lot of success in the corporate world. And it was really easy to stay there and to keep getting my paychecks, my benefits, my, perks, all that kind of stuff until it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. And that till it wasn't was after my 3rd child. And I went in on my maternity leave and I got this huge award at Microsoft. I won this huge global award for marketing. And I went in on my maternity leave and I thought I was going to, get all these accolades from my boss. And what my boss said was, you did good work, but you're on maternity leave. So just know when you come back, things won't be the same. In fact, you're going to go from a hero to you need to work your way back up.
Really?
And I was like, what? First of all, illegal. Second of all, I'm not sure I want to jump back on this bandwagon.
Yeah.
And it was at that point in time that I really felt like I mean, it was a lot more complicated and I was a lot more emotional than I am now. That was back in 2011. But I really felt like I had this decision to make because I had been feeling the pull of entrepreneurship for a long time, but I had been in this cushy, comfy position. And suddenly it wasn't cushy and comfy anymore. And so I was like, I think it's time.
Yeah.
And I spent the rest of my maternity leave setting up my business. And when my son was 7 months old, I quit my job and went out on my own. And I mean, it hasn't been a smooth ride. Like I had to figure things out.
Yeah.
But I would never go back.
Well, and I'm sure there's lots of women that are listening right now going, yep, that's me, totally. And like where the corporate 9 to 5 just doesn't tick the boxes anymore and it doesn't serve you. And I dare say in this modern day and age, women, we have so much more opportunity to go off and start our own business than we did even 10, 15, 20, 40 years ago. So it is now coming to a day and age where it's like, well, actually, you know what? Just being in that 9 to 5 doesn't have to be the only way. And that's what I think a lot of our listeners, resonate with that as well, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, for me, that's what happened. And that's what I started looking for. And when I started seeing just a couple of little nuggets of other people like me have done this, I was like, I could do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you started your company, what did you specialize in?
Well, originally I specialized in 2 things. So I don't know if you would say specialize, right? I did career coaching and I also did a lot of marketing consulting, tons.
Yeah.
So I just basically consulted back to people that I used to work with.
And, through that process, then now you've become the expert, I believe, in marketing funnels that's out there. So, a lot has come from 2011 technology-wise to where we are now. So how has that changed for you and the work that you're doing? Like, where are you really focusing in on right now?
Yeah. In terms of the work that I'm doing or in terms of the clients or what?
Yeah, either or.
Yeah. So I don't do as much consulting. In fact, I do very little consulting like I used to. Mostly what I do now is work with solopreneurs and very small businesses to really help them figure out, how do I get my arms around this marketing thing? Because I know for me, and I don't know for you, I know you've been in business a lot longer than I have, but figuring out how to get your arms around this marketing thing, how to tell your story, how to consistently have clients coming in the door, how to have your calendar full, all that kind of stuff. That's really the holy grail of business, right? Is to not have to worry about being on that income roller coaster and like, where's my next sale coming from? That's what I love to help people figure out, because I know for me, when I was able to crack that code, I felt like, okay, now I can take a deep breath and I can actually sleep well at night and I can start planning for the future. Like we could plan for a vacation, like I felt like, okay, I finally feel like I'm in the driver's seat of my business instead of letting my business like dictate everything to me. If that makes sense.
Totally. And, I think when people hear about, okay, well, how do I create a marketing funnel? They start to Google and then they freak out because it's just so scary and overwhelming. How does somebody not like completely drown in the tech side of setting it all up? Do you have any advice there?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is don't start at the tech.
Yeah.
It does, because look, Mary, you're a woman, I'm a woman. We're going to talk as ladies here.
Legit. Let's break it down.
Yeah. Let's break it down. A lot of online marketing is driven by dudes. Like, let's just be honest, like 97%, right?
Yeah.
They're very masculine, very like, get the sale, right? And it's all about the cool app, the cool tech, the cool whatever. I gotta be honest with you, you're selling to people. You're selling to people who have dreams, who have fears, who have things that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
If you attack your business, if you attack a marketing funnel starting at the technology, you're going to drown.
Yeah.
Because there's like 8 billion different things that you could do. And if you don't know who you're talking to, what you're trying to accomplish, or where you're taking this, you can get absolutely overwhelmed and, quite frankly, bankrupt yourself buying all the technology that's out there.
Yeah, because I think you chase after like the bright shiny object, or you see somebody else using so and this and that, and you're like, "Ooh, I need that," and "Oh, I need to buy this," and you know, like you add on all of these subscriptions, and you're just like, at the end of the day, if your business is not making cash, spoiler alert, it's a hobby, it's not a business, and that's the end result, right? Are you making money with this or not, right? So,
Yes.
okay, maybe there's a better way we can have this conversation to really break it down. Let's take a case study. Let's say Lauren, who's a wedding planner and she owns her own company and she wants to institute a marketing funnel in her company. Can you break it down like step by step in simple terms? What are the first 5 steps? Like, what does she do?
Yeah. So again, I mean, obviously, ultimately you're going to have to set it up.
Yeah.
But the first 5 steps. So if I was talking to, what'd you say her name was? Lauren?
Lauren. Yeah. Let's say her name's Lauren.
Okay. So Lauren. So the first thing I'd say is, who are you serving? So yes, a wedding planner, we know, okay, you're selling wedding, like you're going to plan a wedding, right? But what kind of weddings? Who are you serving? Are your brides young? Are they older? Are they really traditional?
Yeah.
Are they nonconformists?
Yeah.
Like, who are you serving? And you might say, well, Michelle, I plan weddings. Like, I can do any kind of wedding. Okay, if that's your answer, you're talking to no one.
That
and
is the truth.
All you can compete on is price. And so that's the first thing I would say is, who do you serve?
Very specific person. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you can't have multiple who's. You can, but you need to be really clear on who you serve and why. Because, you know, if I were, like, I got married when I was 31. My husband and I had money, and we had really specific ideas on what we were looking for, and we were older. I didn't want the traditional, like, church wedding, right? And I didn't want to hire a wedding planner that's basically what their portfolio was.
Yep.
We looked for somebody who could push the envelope and could serve a slightly older audience.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, having been a wedding planner for many, many years prior, like, people are looking for somebody they can trust on that big ultimate day, right? So it's got to be somebody that has connection. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so if you serve everyone, if you're like, I can do it all, and you have a bride who's a nonconformist and, I don't know, wants to get married scuba diving under the sea or, you know, jumping out of an airplane.
Yeah.
Probably not the same message as the bride who wants to get married in a giant cathedral.
Exactly.
Like, it just is not the same. So that's the first thing, is I would say, who do you serve? And that's not just for wedding planners. That's literally for anyone. You got to know who you serve. And that's not to say that you have to have this, you know, written in stone customer avatar, but you need to know, what are their pains? What are they searching for? You know, and how do you, because it goes into number 2 is, how do you serve them better than anyone else out there? So how are you going to fulfill the needs that they have, the desires that they have, better than everyone else? Because that's what they're looking for. And that's how you need to stand apart. Yeah. So as you think, if you go back to what we talked about, the 3 steps, because I know we're breaking these steps down further here in this, you know, what are the first 5 things they should do? Yeah. This is warming them up. You can't go warm people up if you don't know who you're going to talk to. And part of warming them up is kind of showcasing what you're doing. Like, what are you going to put on social media? Or what are you going to do if you're going to go to a trade show? How are you going to showcase that you're the one to choose for this kind of experience? Exactly. You're the person that they couldn't do this wedding without. Like, you're the one. Yes, 100%. Great. Yeah. Yeah. So that's number 2 is you need to know how you serve them better than anyone else. Number 3, and this is where we're getting into that step of invite them in. What's the hook? What's the hook that you can use to stand out and show that you're the best for this audience. And that hook could be kind of the standard lead magnet. That hook could be maybe a quiz. That hook could be for the wedding planner. It could be an experience that you put on for everybody who's kind of raised their hands and said, I'm thinking about doing a wedding and I'm looking around. Like you could have an experience night where you bring things in and you show a movie of different things, or you have different experience. Like, what's the hook that sets you apart and speaks right to the kind of people that you want to attract?
Yeah. And I'll put a pin in the map real quick. So you used the word lead magnet. Tell us what a lead magnet is.
Yeah. So a lead magnet, for those who aren't familiar with that, that's something that you could put up on your website, or, if you're doing kind of more traditional marketing, if you're doing like a trade show or something, if you're doing networking in person, it's something you could put on the back of your business card, or it's something that you could hand out to people that says, hey, go put in your email address or text this number, and I'll send something to you if you give me your information.
So it's a way for somebody to opt in and say, yes, I want more. I want something more. It's not necessarily them buying at the dotted line or signing at the dotted line, but it's just first step, right?
Yeah. It's just a way for you to invite them in to come closer.
Yeah.
And for them to give you permission to stay in touch with them.
Yes.
So, if you're speaking at an event, you could say, hey, pull out your phone and text this number and I'll give you a PDF. Or, you can have access to this, I don't know, for a wedding planner, like the 5 things that you need to make sure is in your doc kit so that, everything goes well on your wedding day or something.
Yeah. Also, another one that I heard that I thought was brilliant is one of my clients, they created a venue guide for their local city. So a bride or, who's just recently got engaged, the very first 3 things they typically get is a venue, a photographer, and a wedding planner, somewhere in that order. Sometimes one gets to be, third or second. So they said, well, right, why don't we put together a venue guide? These are the top 20 venues in this city. These are the bohemian ones. These are the classic ones. These are the, non-traditional. Just opt in and we'll send you this beautiful PDF with all the links and stuff. And I'm like, genius. Hello. That's great. You're solving a problem for the girl right then and there on her journey of planning the wedding. So things like that, right?
Yes. And for that, I would even say it would be so cool if they could do a quiz to help the bride and groom figure out what kind of venue fits them best as a couple. And then hone in on those, that you could make it even better, right?
Yeah, what kind of bride are you, or something
couple,
like that?
Yeah.
What kind of couple
bride
are you?
Couple are you? You could even, Anyway, all sorts of fun things that you could do. There, right?
What's your wedding style?
Exactly. So that invites them in, and it makes them raise their hand, but it also makes them say, you've got something that I need to pay attention to. And it's something that's different than all these other people out there that are just saying, I do weddings with beautiful photography, but nothing that's different, right?
Yeah, totally. So quick, before we jump on, you mentioned quizzes. What's one software that you love to use when it comes to doing quizzes?
So personally, I use Lead Quizzes.
Great.
And it's a really easy one to use. I will say though, it is a little spendy.
Yeah.
So let me give you 2.
Okay.
So if somebody has WordPress, Thrive Quiz Builder is a one-time fee, and I only know the US price.
Yeah.
It's $69. It's a one-time fee. So it's even less for people outside of the US, but that's a really good one too.
Yeah. So I'll put the links in the show notes for everybody if you want to click on that to check those out. Okay, carry on. So we said step 1 is who are you serving and why? Step 2 is how do you serve them better than anyone else? Step 3, what's the hook? How are you inviting them in? Now, what's step 4?
Yeah. So step 4 is now you need to start creating a journey. So you've hooked them in. Now you need to keep them engaged with you.
Yeah.
You need to take them from that initial, okay, you've got something that I want to pay attention to, all the way to, okay, I want to hire you. So you need to figure out what that journey looks like. Now, for a wedding planner, that journey might look like, I need to have some experiences with you.
Mm.
That journey might look like I need to have some calls with you, maybe some in-person talks with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but for some people, it might just be a series of emails or a series of videos. Like you need to know your audience and know what that journey looks like.
Yeah.
And also you need to know what your style looks like.
Mm-hmm.
How do you best connect with your audience? Is it through videos? Is it through emails? Is it through in-person events? Like, what is it for you and your audience?
So this is totally like making me buzz with ideas. So if I was selling wedding planning services, which sadly the Simplifiers don't plan weddings anymore, so please don't call us for that. But if I was totally a wedding planner right now, here's what I would do. I would throw the quiz out that's like, what's your wedding style, right? They get the quiz results. They give me their email address. They get this cute little packet. Maybe I get a couple of suggestions for venues with the email, like, oh, I'm a bohemian. Okay, awesome. You go check out these 3 venues. Boop. And then the next email I would send them probably be like an introduction video, just, very simple, like what you see here, just my head, and just be like, hey, I'm Mary. I'm with the Simplifiers. This is what we specialize in. I'm so glad that you have found us. Please reach out if you have any questions, or maybe even a call to action that just simply says, hey, I know you've got a lot of questions. I know you're trying to figure out loads of stuff. Here's a link. Click on that link down below, and let's set up a 15-minute free call, and I can point you in the right direction. Like that may literally be it. I might go back to wedding planning.
Yeah. And maybe, like you could, it can be that simple, Mary.
Yeah.
It can be.
Oh my gosh.
And there's free stuff that you can use to make these kind of videos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Loom is free.
Yes. We'll put that link in the show notes for you guys as well. Okay, wait, pause. Before I get super, super, super excited. So people need at this point an email marketing tool like MailChimp or ConvertKit or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't just run this out of your Gmail account. Like this, it has to have some sort of system, right? What do you recommend there?
So it really depends on how on how big your email list and how sophisticated you get. So MailChimp is free for the first, I think, 2,000 people, right?
Yep.
So it's a nice way to get started without having to increase your costs. ConvertKit is really easy to use. I used it for a long time. And then I switched over to ActiveCampaign when I needed to do a lot more like tagging and a lot more like complicated stuff. But you can grow into that. And it's really easy to switch between systems.
Yeah.
So I don't if you want to keep your costs low, MailChimp's a great place to start.
Because it's free. Right at the beginning, before you have, once you hit that 2,000 emails threshold, that's when you start paying. Okay, great. So create a journey. So is that literally like taking a piece of paper and mapping it out on paper? Like what is Lauren's prospective bride? Perfect. Yeah, great. Walk us through that. Like how simple is that? How can she map out that journey?
So what I usually try to do is, what are the questions that you typically get from people before they're ready to make a buying decision? Mm-hmm. What are the objections that people have? What are the things that they're worried about? So is it price? Is it time? Is it is this right for me? Is it what is it? Mm-hmm. And so, for your people, a lot of times, for the situation that we're talking about, you could easily invite them to have a free call with you. If they don't take you up on that, I might follow that up with kind of poking at a pain a little bit. What's a mistake or what are a few mistakes that people make that end up costing them money in planning weddings? Oh, well. Where you could save them money.
Yeah.
Or what's something that a mistake that they make that end up costing them a lot of stress or something like that. I would try to find those pain points that can really ruin the day for a bride, for example, in this scenario.
Yeah.
But, for any business, I would sit down and say, okay, what are those pains that people are trying to avoid? Because we all want to avoid pains. We want to avoid paying too much money. We want to avoid stress. We want to avoid making mistakes that make us look dumb. We want to avoid stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think from the wedding point of view, I think couples typically, what keeps them up at night, like what makes them really nervous, is that they're overspending on something, or not spending their money wisely. Like for most people, this is the most amount of money they've ever spent in their entire life for literally 5 to 8 hours of their life, right? So it's big and scary. And sometimes there's that whole dynamic of, oh my God, it's my parents' money that I'm spending, which makes it even harder, right? So I think, for Lauren out there that's listening, what if you did some sort of video or email or showed a case study of how you saved one of your clients' brides like thousands of dollars on hotel room blocks? Or these are the things that people always miss when they're reviewing their hotel contract, the venue contract. Sharing that kind of knowledge and showing, I guess it shows like just a bit of proof that you actually know your stuff, right?
Yeah. And in the back of their minds, it's showing why hiring you actually doesn't cost money.
Right. Saves them money.
It can save some money.
Right.
So you want to prove your value without having to say, like, this is what I'm going to do for you.
Yeah.
You want to prove the value through taking them through a scenario that they could find themselves in.
Right.
And that's for Lauren. It's for any business, really.
Yeah. So it sounds like to me then at this stage, it's like pulling out the Post-it notes and thinking, okay, what are the objections? What are the things that are the hurdles or roadblocks that her prospective client needs to overcome before, signing the dotted line and putting one idea down per Post-it note and then just kind of figuring out what order to roll it out?
Yeah. And Mary, you don't even have to come up with this yourself. Like our good friend Google has all the answers you need. Get on to Google and just start looking. Like for this, you could just get on and say like wedding horror stories.
Yeah.
Or like, what are the top ways that, like you could just start asking those questions, and you can do that for any industry. Like, there are so many things out there, and you could go into Facebook and do that. You can go onto YouTube and do that. Like there's so many things out there of articles and blog posts and videos from people. There's an unlimited amount of content that you could find, and you could just hone it into the ones that you want to talk about.
Oh, and I think that's really a very interesting and good point to bring up. Like if you are already part of Facebook groups that are out there, like asking a simple question is not seeming like salesy. You can just simply ask like, hey, question. When you planned your wedding, what was the biggest struggle that you had? Where did you, what was the biggest nightmare? What's one thing that you wanted to, alleviate? And people will share their honest opinion if it seems like you're not trying to sell at them. You're just asking one question to get some of that market research, right?
Yeah.
That's a good
point.
Or
what do you wish you knew now that you didn't know then? Or exactly. Especially if you're not going to come around and like private message people and be like, hey, I can help you or whatever.
Yeah, don't do that. That's kind of skeezy. But just ask the question and use that market research to build your buyer's journey so you can map out, okay, well, if the biggest objections are for a bride is how much does this cost? Is it worth it? Do I really need a wedding planner? What if my venue has a coordinator already? Why do I need you? Like these are the things that are probably objections. So thinking about how that maps out either an separate email to focus on one topic at a time, or, it'd be better if this was a video in an email or, something along those lines. Is there other things? Like I love the idea that you mentioned of doing a text message from the public, if somebody's watching you speak from stage. What are some other tips and tricks that you see is working in other industries?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you really need to do is make it as easy as possible for your people and as relevant as possible. So, we talked about the quiz. Like I said, I would take that PDF and make it into a quiz so I could tie it in. But I think if you can make it easy and if you can make it really relevant, you're going to find that inviting people in and really getting them invested in this journey is going to be so easy because they're going to be like, this is speaking to me. This is exactly what I needed. This is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And so like the text message, the quiz, since we're talking about a lot of different kinds, on the back of a business card, like it just kind of depends on how you're approaching your audience and who you're in front of. And I would just say, don't limit yourself to just a PDF or just on your website. Like think about, like for example, is in the bottom of every email for do you have it on your voicemail? Do you make it really easy for people to come closer to you at every turn?
Yeah.
And if not, why?
Yeah, I think people get scared. I think that's really why. It's like, oh, but I don't know. Will I, do I have the right tech in place? But then they're also like a bit of fear of failure, but also a fear of success, I think sometimes that holds people back. But I also wonder if it's just a bit of like, oh, that's me being out there way too much. People will think I'm some used car salesman. But if you're genuinely helping them, that's a whole other ball game, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like it's Lauren saying, hire me to do your wedding, hire me to do your wedding. That's not what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like, a quiz.
Yeah.
And it's easy to look past. I mean, once you see it, it's easy to look past, but it's there and you never know. Like, no, I'm not getting married and I don't need a wedding venue, but I might know 5 people who are.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. So, yes, I love all this. So step number 5, then you've created the journey. What's the final step?
The final step is, again, it aligns with our original kind of 3 phases, is you got to give them a clear path to work with you.
Yeah.
So once they've been on this journey, you need to be really clear on how people work with you. So you kind of alluded to it, like email number 2 would be inviting them to have that call with you.
Yep.
And on that, you would be inviting them to work with you.
Yeah.
But you need to be really clear. How are you going to be inviting them to work with you? Are you going to be inviting them to a one-on-one call? Are you going to be doing something like an online webinar? Are you going to be doing Facebook Lives where you're inviting people to hire you? Are you going to be doing an event? Are you going to, send them directly to a sales page to buy something? Like, how are they going to purchase something from you?
Yeah.
Be really clear and back into your journey to make sure that your journey leads into that and that you're seeding everything so that it's not like all of a sudden you go from value, buy.
Right.
Right.
Give us your credit card.
This natural.
Yeah. Yeah. And, as a wedding planner, I can certainly share my insider secrets of how we did it for a great many years. So for us, our methodology always was that the very first person the bride talks to on the phone always gets the sale. So if she calls 5 wedding planners and she gets 5 voicemails, the very first one that returns the call always gets the sale. And here's why. In weddings in particular, it's an emotional purchase. So she is so excited to talk to this person and tell her story. And the person that she's got a connection with first, in my opinion, always gets the sale. So knowing that kind of insider info, our methodology is, how do we get on the phone as fast as possible? We can't wait. They send me an email, and this immediate gratification kind of lifestyle that we are and the pace of life that we are now, she sends an email at 11 o'clock at night. There should be something immediately saying, hey, here's how to get on Mary's schedule to talk first thing in the morning. She goes, amazing. That was so simple, right? So we do that first 15 to 20 minute consult call. And for me personally, that call where I'm trying to identify very quickly is this a match for us? Like, time, money, and human power. Do they have the time to plan the wedding that they, to do everything they want to pull off? Do they have the money? Or they have champagne taste on a beer budget? Do they have human power? Meaning do they have the manpower? So if the bride wants to make 3,000 origami cranes, but she's actually the one folding them individually, that doesn't make sense. So they got to have 2 out of the 3 things. things, right? And so you get on the phone, you do that very quick. I kind of call it a pre-qualified call, but reality, I wouldn't say that to the client. I would just say this is a consult call, but you're qualifying if they're a good match for you. And if they are, brilliant. The next phase in your buyer's journey is get to an in-person meeting. And that's where you have the contract, you show your stuff, bish, bash, bush, sign at the dotted line. So that's what's worked for us. And we built a multiple six-figure business off of that business model. But honestly, I feel like you're taking it to the next level when you start thinking about the process before the 15-minute call, like how they get from absolute lurking to on the phone. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Well, and just like what you said, so I teach for the my sold out discovery call funnel. Mm-hmm. I teach that as soon as they opt in for whatever you're inviting them in for, on the very next page, you're asking them to sign up for a call with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it works for me too. And like it doesn't, like, not everybody signs up, but they know that there's this possibility, and a percentage of people will immediately sign up. They're ready to go.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So then how we do that bit, right? So you've got a quiz, and then, they opt in, they get the results, woohoo. And then the button goes, hey, do you want to talk to Michelle? Is it like Calendly or a scheduler link that automatically integrates into your calendar? What do you use for that?
So for me, I've tried it a few ways, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And my business is a little bit different than yours. Yeah. So I need to qualify people on a form before I'll schedule time on my calendar.
Right. So, but if they wouldn't to go straight into a call, like, so Lauren wants to just get them booked on a call, then, something like Schedule Once is what we use. Yep. But what else have you seen or used out there?
Yeah, so I personally use Schedule Once. Mm-hmm. I also use Calendly, and I've seen Acuity as well. So those are the three that I've used. Oh, and Time Trade, I guess, but I don't love Time Trade.
Yeah, okay. So I'll put those links down below for you guys as well, so you guys can check that out. But again, don't get overwhelmed with the tech, right? It's just make it as simple as possible to get people to move down the path, yeah?
Yeah, just make it, and if your goal is to, the immediate gratification of getting on the call, forget filling out the form. Just have the button to get on the call.
Yeah, and do it as quickly as possible. And I think then if they contact you at 11 o'clock at night, obviously you're not working, or hopefully you're not working at that time, you can automate this stuff. So then it's like bing, bash, boom, you wake up the next morning, you see, oh, wow, I got 2 calls booked for today. It's like, this is the dream, right? Like you're solving people's problems. You're showing how fast you work in that, they're not waiting. Like that's the thing in the wedding industry. Brides waiting for vendors to call them back. Days. Like that's crazy. If you could come out the gate strong with a little bit of automation like this, dude, you would have a seriously rocking business.
And this automation is not hard. In fact, there are people who are very inexpensive and very, very good at setting this up if you don't personally love to do tech.
Yeah. So, gosh, who are those people? Let's link them.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I find people on Upwork.
Yeah. Great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what are you searching for funnel strategist or something like that?
No, I just search for virtual assistants. Amazing. And I specifically put, here's the job that I need done. Do not answer if you don't know how to do this.
Yes. Brilliant. So
then I use LastPass. I'm sorry. I use LastPass so that I can have them get in, but I don't have to give up my passwords.
Right. And then they can get access to your back end of your software and stuff. So I know you use ClickFunnels as well, and you've got a couple of plug and play templates. First off, what's a plug and play template? Define that.
Yeah, so I use ClickFunnels because it is really easy for me as an expert to create these things. Mm-hmm. And then I can just gift them to other people. I can just give them to you. Like a template, Yeah, like a template. Like you can just take it with a couple of clicks and put it into your account. And then all you have to do is change the color, change the words, which is just like, changing a Word document. And then put your own logo in and off you go.
And ClickFunnels is like a landing page, right? For your website, an opt-in, something along the lines. Click here to download the blah, blah, blah. Yeah?
Yeah. So actually it's the whole thing. So it's not just the landing page. It can also be the page where the thank you page. It can also be the page where people fill out the form to get on a call with you. It can be the page where people watch a video of you. It depends on which funnel it is.
Yeah.
And so I have all of those created. So yeah.
Amazing. So are those free or do we purchase those on your website?
No, if you so I have a quiz that basically says which funnel is right for you. And when you take that, I'll gift you, like I'll just give it to you, the one that's right for you. And then I'll actually take you through a whole video training on how to do it. So you don't even have to try to figure it out on your own.
So again, you can click in the show notes to get access to her quiz, what kind of marketing funnel is best for you. And you can go to michelleevans.com/simple to access that quiz as well. Amazing. So Michelle, before we wrap up, what are a couple of things that you think people fumble on? Like, what do they mess up every single time and that you really wish they wouldn't?
In creating a funnel, usually it's not taking the time to be really clear on who they serve and how they serve them best. So they basically just say, here's what I do. But there's no like honing in on who and why. And so it doesn't work because it's too generic.
Yeah.
They're speaking to everyone, so they speak to no one. And that's usually where it goes wrong. It's not the tech, it's not the message, and it's not them. It's just we need to go a little bit deeper and a little bit more specific.
And, you know, Lauren out there, I'm sure there's many, many Laurens out there that do weddings and things. Just remember, you are not the Walmart of weddings.
Right.
You don't need to serve all the people. Like, just focus in on who you love to work with and start attracting that kind of client to the table. Everything in your marketing message, your website, your portfolio should show pictures of that person back to them. It should reflect back, and that gives them that proof that, oh, Lauren is really good at this type of wedding. So don't forget that.
And you could charge much more, and the sales are much easier because they are like, you're for me.
Yes, you are built for me. You specifically can solve my biggest problems. Yeah. So, Michelle, thank you again. I really feel like this is such incredible information, and I really appreciate you breaking it down in simple terms for people, because I think sometimes it's just scary stuff. So I ask these questions to all the guests that come on, and I'll ask you as well. First and foremost, what's one book you're reading these days, or maybe blog, that is inspiring you, or maybe poking holes and challenging you a bit?
A book or a blog? I gotta be honest with you. I'm loving that. I'm not going to answer that one as you asked it. I'm loving James Wedmore's podcast, Mind Your Business. And he talks about a lot of different books on there that I usually download on Audible and I'll listen to. That are really on, like different mindset stuff. But his podcast that just dives into like building your business and what it takes to really be an entrepreneur, I am loving. And it pokes a lot of holes and stuff.
Yeah, James is solid. Yeah. I highly recommend checking out his podcast as well. Now, you have a podcast, my friend, The Marketing Funnel Show. So again, you guys, if you're looking for a couple new podcasts to add to the subscription and to your playlist, like definitely check out Michelle's as well. It can be found on Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere where you listen to your podcast, right?
Yes, thank you for
that
mention.
Of course, yes. So is there maybe one good app? Granted, we're not going to chase after bright, shiny objects, but what's one good app that you're using in your life right now that's helping you simplify?
That's a good question. I have been really on a diet, on a application diet, I should say.
Good for you.
Yeah. And so it's funny because I interviewed you for my podcast a little bit ago, and from you inspired me to really go on a diet with it and like really. And so I have to be honest with you. I timed myself on my phone and I was a little alarmed at the amount of time I was spending.
Oh my gosh.
And I, for like the past 6 weeks, because I think it's been about 6 weeks since I interviewed you, I haven't really been using my phone or apps or anything other than like the bare minimum of work stuff. So no, I don't, because I'm trying to be more present.
Good at it, girl. That's good. I tell you what, like the app that I downloaded that helped me do that as well is called Moment. I'll put that link down for people. And Moment is an app that basically tracks how you use your phone. And it is shocking at first when you download the app and you think, I don't use my phone that much. Actually, my friend, you do. Like the very first time I downloaded Moment, it has like this little chart on there that says, you have spent 28% of your waking life on your phone today. You have picked up your phone 56 times, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you have spent 3.5 hours on Facebook today. And I was like, oh, this is bad. I've got to make a change.
Yeah, after your interview, I did that.
Yes.
So I couldn't, thank you for remembering it was Moment.
Yeah.
I was like shocked, and I had to uninstall a lot of things. So I went on an app diet.
Atta girl. I'm so proud of you. This is really good. So we believe gratitude and simplicity go hand in hand. Tell us, what's one thing you're super grateful for right now?
Oh, I am super, super grateful for, this is going to sound weird. I am super grateful for the challenges that I've had that have led me to this point. Because I think if I hadn't met those challenges and said, you know what, I think there's probably something better and I'm going to lean into this. And then been open to meeting great people like you. And, there's so much out there. And I wake up every morning and I'm just like, I am so lucky to be an owner of my own business, able to choose who I work with, what kind of work I do. And when I work, it is truly amazing to see how far I've been able to come. That sometimes I really do have to pinch myself and just be like, I can't believe that this all started from me basically being told that I wasn't valuable enough because I wanted to take maternity leave.
Which is bonkers, right? Bonkers.
But amazing too, right? It is bonkers, but I'm like, but without that, I would probably still be there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, everything happens for a reason in my books.
Yes.
And, sometimes the scariest, most what quote unquote seems like the horriblest thing to happen to you is exactly what you need to get you to the next level. So well done you on being brave and taking the next step. So, Michelle, who is maybe one person in your circle of friends or your network that you think we should interview on the Simplifiers podcast, and why? Who do you know?
So, funnily enough, another Michelle. Her name is Dr. Michelle Mazur, and she is brilliant. She runs a business called The Communication Rebel, and she also has a podcast, but she is on this tear of making public speaking and getting your message out there simple. And she has this thing that I will leave up to her called the 3-word rebellion.
Ooh.
And it's all about how to stand out with 3 words. And she is brilliant, and your audience will love it.
Oh
and God. It will go really well with what we just talked about in terms of standing out.
Love it. She's like totally sounds like my kind of girl. So yeah, we will definitely reach out to her and get her on the podcast soon. Before I end with the final question, again, a reminder to everybody that's listening, you can check out Michelle online. On Facebook, it's Michelle L. Evans Official. And again, the links are all in the show notes for you guys. Make sure to take that quiz on her website. Again, that's michellelevans.com/simple. So you can check that out there as well. And last but not least, check out her podcast. It is super chock full of great advice and great guests as well. So the Marketing Funnel Show, if you find that on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, you name it, you say it, it is there. So Michelle, thank you again for sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge. We really, really appreciate you breaking it down in simple terms. My last question for you is this. So there actually is a Lauren out there in the world that is probably listening to this episode right now. And she's going, brilliant. Thanks, guys. This is really helpful. I actually think I have sort of an idea as to what to do in making this all happen. However, Lauren is sitting there going, yeah, but this is scary. I don't really know even where to begin. What's one thing you could whisper in her ear right now just to encourage her on her path?
I would say take the quiz because it'll show you exactly how to get started. Truly, for Lauren and for everyone else, your audience is searching for you. And it's really up to you to make sure that they know that you're the one that they're searching for. And a funnel is really the best way to do that.
Michelle Evans, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, Mary.